All right, so get this. We're diving into the wild world of online gaming protests today. And let me tell you, this one's a real doozy.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, we're talking about Evony,
Okay.
like that mobile strategy game, right? Well, tons of players basically decided enough is enough and went on a coin strike,
A coin strike? What's that?
basically hitting pause on any in-app purchases.
Wow.
Which, yeah, you know those little things, they add up to big bucks for game developers.
Oh, absolutely. Got to be a big deal when players are willing to put the brakes on spending like that.
For sure, like money talks, right? And in this case, it's sending a message loud and clear.
I bet. What's the reason behind all this?
Well, that's the really interesting part.
Yeah.
We're working with, get this, leaked messages from a Discord server
No way.
where this whole thing was planned out, the CoinStrike Evony server. It's like, we've got the inside scoop, you know. Secret strategies, the works.
Now, that is fascinating.
Right.
To be a developer, like you're used to running the show, your digital world, and then, boom, the players start calling the shots.
The whole power shift.
Exactly. And this kind of organized pushback, it's still pretty rare.
Yeah, it's like, imagine those old civilizations, right, using shells or whatever as currency, and then everyone just like, nah, these shells are worthless now. The whole system upended.
That's a perfect analogy. It really highlights how this dynamic works.
Right.
Because, yeah, developers, they usually hold all the cards, banning accounts, changing the game, the terms of service.
They're the deciders.
Right, but a coin strike, that hits them where it hurts their wallets.
Big time.
Shows how these big companies, even though they seem untouchable, can still be vulnerable.
And this story, let me tell you, it's got it all. Unfair bans, mysterious leaders with aliases, a real showdown brewing with a huge company. And it all starts with the simple question, right? August 22nd, a user, Viper2302, kind of catchy, right?
Yeah.
Posts in the important info channel.
Okay.
Have you guys noticed that a lot of main accounts have been getting banned lately? For literally no reason, just throws it out there.
Wow, so simple, but I bet it resonated.
Oh, yeah, because think about it, for players, especially in a game like this, their account, that's everything. Like, it's a huge investment time, money, the whole shebang.
It's their digital life.
Exactly. So to have it ripped away, especially if it feels unjustified, talk about rubbing salt in the wound.
Absolutely. No wonder that one question from Viper2302 blew up.
It's like wildfire. Within days, the server's exploding with new members. Everyone's got a similar story. The frustration's palpable.
So then what'd they do?
Well, this is where you see Viper 2302's strategic mind at work, you know? He's not just complaining, he's organizing. August 22nd, he posts, get this, we will reach out to every YouTube streamer, influencer to make videos about this, so social media is full of this.
Smart move.
Right. Knows how to go viral, leverage that power.
For sure. A real digital age strategist.
Exactly. He's got a plan. This isn't just a random thing.
So it seems like this was more than just venting. It was organized from the jump.
Absolutely. And it's incredible how fast it all snowballed. In just a few weeks, they went from a handful of players to thousands, all on the same page.
Wow, the power of a shared grievance.
Right. Unity in their frustration. And then they do something interesting, like on the surface, it seems sort of basic, but it was actually pretty smart.
What's that?
They made one of those Google Forms.
Oh.
You know, we've all seen them a million times, right?
Yeah.
But this wasn't just for like RSVPing to a party or whatever.
Right.
This was strategic, man. Like they were gathering information, you know?
Oh, interesting.
Getting a read on what players were really fired up about. And then this is key. They started putting together a database so they could actually communicate with everyone later on. They went from a scattered crowd to a well-organized army.
Wow. Talk about taking things to the next level.
Right. And then there's Viper 2302 again. Like, he gets it, you know? He knows. This whole thing hinges on unity, on everyone being on the same page.
Yes, solidarity is key in these situations.
Totally. And so on August 24th, he drops this message, and I'm paraphrasing here, but it's basically like, this is our last stand, so we got to do this together, whether you got personally affected or not. You can almost feel the passion in his words.
Oh, for sure. It's about more than just individual grievances at that point.
Exactly. It's about like a shared sense of being wronged. Like Evony isn't treating its players right, you know?
About respect.
Exactly. And that kind of leads us to the heart of it all. The demands. Like every good protest needs its list of grievances, right?
Absolutely. Got to lay it all out there.
Right. So they had this agenda and demands channel. And at the top, no surprise here, it was getting those banned accounts reinstated.
Well, which makes sense, right? Like we were saying earlier, that account is a huge part of someone's experience in a game like Evony. Losing it can feel like a punch to the gut.
Yeah, it's a big deal. So, yeah, demanding those bans to be reviewed. It was about fairness, about making sure things are transparent, and that players actually have a voice.
It's about accountability.
For sure. And then, of course, there's the lag issue. Anyone who's ever played an online game knows that lag can make or break the experience.
Oh, tell me about it. Especially in a strategy game like Evony, where timing is everything.
Right. And what really comes through in these messages is that the players felt like Evony just wasn't listening, like their concerns were being brushed aside. It's like they weren't being taken seriously.
Yeah, that can be really frustrating.
Totally. And then to top it all off, they changed the terms of service. Now, I'll admit, those things are usually a snooze fest, but these changes, man, they really struck a nerve.
What was it about those changes that rubbed people the wrong way?
Well, Evony added stuff that a lot of players saw as an invasion of privacy. It seemed like they were giving themselves way more power to collect and use player data, and that's a huge issue these days, not just in gaming, but everywhere.
It's a hot button issue for sure, that whole question of data privacy.
Absolutely. And this is where things go beyond just Evony, It becomes about pushing back against what feels like corporate overreach in the digital world, about setting some boundaries. And these players, they found a way to make their voices heard. And this is where things get really interesting, right? Because you're talking about coordinating thousands of players, keeping them motivated, making sure nobody cracks and makes an in-app purchase that could weaken their position.
That's a whole different level of organization, right?
Totally. It's a whole different ballgame from a traditional real-world protest.
Yeah, it requires a whole different kind of discipline.
Right. Because, in a real-world strike, there are physical ticket lines. You can kind of see that shared feeling.
Right.
But here, it's all happening online, across the globe, just a click away from giving in to that impulse purchase.
Totally.
So how do you keep the pressure on? Right. Well, we get a glimpse of that in the Plan of Action subchannel.
Okay.
September 16th, it's marked as D-Day.
That's the official start of the strike.
Right. And they're stressing this disciplined, organized approach.
So how do you keep people from cracking?
Well, setting a firm start date, that was crucial, right?
It definitely maximized the impact.
Right, and it created this sense of anticipation, Everyone's on the same page, waiting for that moment to hit. They weren't just sitting back waiting for Evony to cave.
No, they were active.
Oh, yeah. They got creative. Players started changing their in-game server names to CoinStrike.
Wow. Talk about a bold statement.
Right. Plus, they bombarded Evony's customer support with messages, a digital sit-in, if you will.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then things took a fascinating turn.
Okay.
Evony, feeling the pressure, they try to seize back control.
Interesting.
They announce an open developer call, probably hoping to appease the players with vague promises of dialogue.
I've seen that before.
Right, but this time, they miscalculated big time.
Really?
Yeah, the players were savvy. They'd seen these tactics before. They knew that a generic open call, it's just a platform for the company to deflect and delay.
Makes sense.
Yeah, they knew this wasn't about real change.
This time, they were ready.
Right. They demanded a structured dialogue, not just a PR stunt. They wanted representation from the strike leaders, people who had earned the trust of the community.
Interesting.
It was a power move. Like, we're done being placated. We want real results.
It's a bold move, and I think it paid off.
Oh, yeah. It definitely worked. Evony, for perhaps the first time, was on the defensive. The leaked messages show a carefully selected group of player representatives allowed to participate in this call.
That's fascinating.
Right. Names like Oz, Drunk Adam, and Cephalon.
It's like a digital revolution, right?
It's surreal. Imagine going from organizing on Discord to being on a call with Evony's top brass.
Yeah, that's a wild shift.
It's a power shift, This wasn't just a company listening to feedback. It was a negotiation, a recognition that the players actually held leverage.
That's a huge deal.
And guess what? Evony agreed to address those lag issues, promised to review the cases of those banned accounts, and even considered allowing those official sub-accounts that the players had been requesting.
Those are significant victories.
Absolutely. But from my perspective, the most impactful concession was Evony's commitment to hold monthly meetings with player representatives. This established a framework for ongoing dialogue, a way for players to have a voice, not just in the game's development, but in its very future.
Now that's real change.
Who would have thought that a simple question about banned accounts could snowball into this, right? This deep dive reveals just how potent collective action can be, even in the digital world.
It's a testament to the power of online communities.
For sure, and to the strategic use of social media and the deep passion players have for the games they love. And it leaves us With a lot to ponder, right? Will Evony deliver on its promises? Will this spark similar movements in other gaming communities? It's a brave new world out there, and as we've seen, when players unite and raise their voices, even the biggest giants in the industry are forced to listen.